You're watching a clip from the Club podcast.
Make sure you follow it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and give it a 5-star review.
So here you go, is a lovely clip from our podcast.
Right, let's talk about Kai Havertz, a guy that you know very, very well, Rory. £60 million plus to Arsenal. I have to just give my initial reaction to this. It's a crazy deal. It doesn't make sense to me. Does he make Arsenal stronger? Does he add more goals? Does he add more leadership? For me, the answer is a big fat no. So it's a strange deal. What's your take on it?
I don't really understand what Kai Havertz takes to Arsenal aside from height. Like, I don't know what
height he doesn't even use.
A height that he uses more than someone who doesn't have heights uses.
Yeah.
If that makes...
Yeah, I
don't know. Being 6'3" gives you more of a physical presence and an aerial presence than someone who is 5'10". Like, regardless of how many headers you score, you must simply, by your framework, have more of a presence.
Definitely.
And also, like, I think he scored about 30% of his goals in the Premier League with his head. It's that he doesn't score a lot of goals, and therefore, proportionally, there are a lot with his head. But no, he isn't good in the air. Like, you wouldn't ever refer to him as, like, being prolific in the air or threatening in the air. Like, Les Ferdinand, he is not.
Yeah,
do you know?
No, 100%. It's a strange one. I don't think he offers balance in midfield. I don't think you can play him where Xhaka played. I think Xhaka showed a lot of discipline to play where he played last season.
Doesn't have the defensive quality.
Obviously not in Partey's position. He's not going to replace Odegaard.
No, that's not him, Booth. That's not him.
So where is he then? Where does he actually start? Because they want to play 4-3-3 from what I've heard from Arsenal mates and all that. It's not going to change to a 3 at the back. And
okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do in this video. It's not what I agree with, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to be Kai Havertz's agent. So I'm going to present this. I'm either an Arsenal fan who's like got rose-tinted glasses on, or his agent, or Kai Havertz himself. That's what I'm going to present to you. Okay, so the reason you sign him. Firstly, he gives you a dimension that you don't have. Your front line are all about 5'10". You don't have any physical presence. Suddenly you've got a geezer that's 6'3". You're signing a winner. You're signing somebody who not only has played in the Champions League, not only someone who has won the Champions League, but somebody who literally won their London team the Champions League. So you're signing that as well, which is also very impressive. Alongside that, you're signing somebody with the ability to play instead of Gabriel Jesus. You're signing somebody who has the ability to play with Gabriel Jesus. You're signing somebody who has the ability to play instead of Gabriel Martinelli, with Gabriel Martinelli, instead of Trossard, with Trossard. He can lend his skill set to Arsenal in a multitude of ways. And I think options for a football manager are always a good thing. Like, I don't think he's a particularly good player, but equally, I don't think Chelsea should have sold him. I don't think Chelsea should have sold him to them. I don't want him to play for Chelsea.
That might be an issue.
But there should be a principle. I didn't like Jorginho, but there should be a principle. Don't strengthen rivals. And if Mikel Arteta, I don't think it strengthens them because I don't rate them. But if Arteta decides that Jorginho and Kai Havertz strengthen them and their options, then we shouldn't be doing them any favours.
I think there's a world where you're proven right and he doesn't perform as well as you think he will. But I do think there's a world as well where Arsenal get the best out of Kai Havertz that Chelsea failed to do on a consistent basis. I think there were times where you got to see it from him. But I think he was asked to lead the line a lot, which I don't think he does do. Which again, if Arsenal are signing him to do that, then I question it a little bit. Although I think their style of football will suit him a little bit more. His best position is probably Odegaard's position. Odegaard's not going to be displaced by him.
I think his best position, he wouldn't play it in the same way, but I think where he sort of belongs is like drifting in slightly from the left. So like behind
as an alternative to Martinelli then?
No, because Martinelli is more of like a
proper winger.
Yeah, winger forward, whereas Kai Havertz would kind of drop a bit deeper.
No, but an alternative in terms of who plays, he would be, because you're not going to start.
No, I think this is what we were sort of establishing with I was establishing with Buvey. What he can do is play with all of them and instead of all of them. So he lends an option.
Is that what you should be doing with such a big chunk of your transfer?
When you think,
it's a lot of money.
When you think about Arsenal's season, right? They're going to embark upon. They've got the European Cup to worry about. They're going to need more forwards that they can rely on. Because look, I don't rate Havertz. I don't particularly like him. I think he leaves me a bit cold, and it's amazing that I don't like someone who scored a European Cup final goal for Chelsea. But I don't. But he's a better player than Nketiah, and he's more suited to the Champions League than Nketiah. So simply by being there and not being Nketiah, it gives another option to Arsenal. It gives Arteta something else. Like, he should be able to link up with all of their forwards. Like, in theory, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but is Leandro Trossard a better player when Kai Havertz is on the pitch? Is Bukayo Saka a better player when Kai Havertz is on the pitch? Is Gabriel Jesus a better player when?
I don't even think he is. I think this is. I don't think he. I don't think he does.
No,
the issue is he has to play in a. He has to occupy a position. And Trossard can play anywhere in the front three well. Same with Martinelli. Jesus can kind of drop deep. The thing is, Havertz actually has to operate in a position. So when off the ball, when the opposition are attacking, where will he be? We're talking about all these vague kind of ideas of where he can play. He has to operate in a midfield, or he has to operate as a forward. He's not good enough as a forward.
Is there a world in which he could play in the midfield when they're being more attacking? They're playing at home to Sheffield United. Can he, Jesus, and Odegaard
there's been
all
some
be in the same time?
kind of thought that maybe Odegaard becomes more of an 8, less of a 10. And therefore, you free up the space for Havertz, which is a possibility because you're losing Partey, potentially, Xhaka.
So their front line, their goal-scoring threat in games maybe at home, games that they struggled to win towards the end of last season, their front line would look like Martinelli on one side, Saka on the other side, Jesus through the middle, with Odegaard and Kai Havertz behind.
With Rice behind, I think they'd say, ideally.
With Rice behind those.
Defensive,
But it may be a Rice, Odegaard, Havertz, which is not great defensively, maybe.
No, there's no balance there. I don't think Havertz is very good at maintaining possession.
There's been a lot of talk about them potentially replacing Partey if he goes with a Lavia or someone.
Do you know the other thing with Havertz? Yeah. He's a weakling.
He's soft.
He's a weakling, yeah. He isn't... if there was an opposition that sort of give it... Like I remember he got into it a bit with Dan Burn. I think he ended up scoring a winner that day, weirdly, Kai Havertz. I think we scored a really late winner. I think he got it. But that's so rare. And I think the reason I can remember it is because that's the one time I've ever known him have a tussle and come out on top. Like, other strikers or players that you can think of. I'm sure you've got loads of in your mind to see it. I'm sure you've got loads. And the one that I will always think of, weirdly, we may even share this. For me, it'd be Mark Hughes. Like, Mark Hughes would be having real issues with the centre half. And they'd be really at each other's throat. He'd be going for it with Keogh, and they'd be hating each other. Really physical, leaving stuff in. He gets a winner. Mark Hughes will get the winner. I remember he was having it with Liverpool once. He played Liverpool in the Cup. They had, do you remember the gingery ball bloke, Mark Wright? And Mark Hughes and Mark Wright were really going for each other. Obviously, Mark Hughes scores in that game. That's the exact opposite of Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz, you let him know you're there, you give him one. Ruben Diaz slams through the back of him. He won't touch the ball.
He shies away. Yeah. He shies away. Yeah, for me, it screams of indecision for me. I think Arsenal needed a world-class couple of players to come in and strengthen the side, not kind of half dipping their toe in the water kind of squad filler kind of signings for me.
So cards on the table, simple as this. Good signing or bad signing?
Bad signing, terrible.
Good signing or bad signing? Don't try it. I know what you're going to do here. You're going to start using medium words and...
No, because I was going to say, because I don't think it improves their starting 11.
Does it improve their squad?
And therefore spending that much money, of course it improves their squad. Spending that much money on someone that maybe don't improve your starting 11, if you can't then get your other signings, that's a problem. But if you do get all your...
bad signing.
If they don't get their other signings.
So that's a hat-trick of bad signings. Thank you so much for watching this video on the club. We are delighted that you've chosen to join us to debate this. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and please click that subscribe button right now. It'd be our honour to welcome you into this community. Peace out, A-Town.